All right?
How does our collective agreements with our collective consciousness, how does that affect any limits we place on ourselves?
Thank you. How do our collective agreements affect the idea of the changes we want to make and any limitations we place upon ourselves? Again, remember this. You will have agreed to certain collective ideas. At the same time, the way you experience that collective agreement is through the creation of your version of the collective in your own reality. You follow me? So, even though you are engaged with the collective, the only way the collective agreement actually translates into your reality is through the filters of the representative symbols you've created in your reality to represent the collective. So you can tweak that as well. Make sense?
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, although then why do we have to?
Because it functions as a starting point. It functions as a guideline. It gives you some basis and some bearing so that you don't necessarily have to be consciously aware of everything. It's like having a little bit of an autopilot so that you don't necessarily have to watch every little gauge and every little control every single moment so that you can focus on what you prefer and know that the rest of it will automatically follow to a certain extent. Then where you want to actually truly create a change that's different from the collective in a way, then you can focus on that and know that the collective will still support that change because the collective agreement says we will support individual change to a certain point. You follow me? Now, sometimes you can stretch that point as well, but generally speaking, the collective will allow change to a certain point. That point is usually always beyond the point that is necessary for you to change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like a game with a set of ground rules.
Yes. And sometimes some of the ground rules can be changed through collective agreement, but also sometimes they can be changed on an individual basis. It just depends on how that serves everyone as well. Because again, the collective sometimes will agree that an individual can change all the ground rules. You understand? And therefore, you can take advantage of that, shall we call it, loophole in the collective. Because there is an overall consensus that sometimes a single individual has an insight that actually will allow the collective to function on a higher level. And so that availability, that opportunity is always there. All you need to do is find your particular expression of it, your particular tunnel, your particular doorway to walk through that represents your version of using that part of the collective agreement. And the best way to do that is to follow your passion. That's why our civilization is so dynamic and always changing, is because our collective agreement allows at any given moment an individual to spontaneously change the ground rules for everybody. And everybody's okay with that. So the ground rules are always changing, and we have a reality that collectively is expanding in so many different directions at once simultaneously that almost anything is possible in our reality. Make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
So one individual can change the ground rules.
Yes.
What if everyone is not okay with it? I mean, I'm thinking of an example like Hitler,
Yes.
who changed the ground rules for many people.
Yes.
Now, were those people in agreement?
On one level, yes.
Okay, they were operating at a low frequency?
In some senses, yes, but also look at the whole idea from many different levels. This is not a condoning of bad behavior, but the idea is to understand that even something like that can function as an opportunity for everyone else to understand what they actually would like the ground rules to be. So that it's a, shall we say, example of helping clarify for you what you really do prefer by giving you a strong example of what you don't.
Right.
Because the way you have engineered many of your mentalities is that it's actually easier for you. You have made it easier to see the light by first understanding that there is darkness.
I understand.
So it can be used in a positive way, and so the collective can use it that way and allows it to happen to a certain point, but then there will be a shift where they will finally get the point of what the individual may be showing, and thus they can then use that to change the ground rules in the direction that they actually prefer collectively.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
But-
It does make sense, except I'm just looking at how we can avoid such a thing.
All right, well, again, it's all about self-love, self-empowerment, instead of self-loathing, instead of self-diminishment. You follow?
Yes.
Because
yes.
if you diminish yourselves, if you loathe yourselves, if you segregate your consciousness and compartmentalize it in that way, there will always be a consciousness willing to come along and use that.
Okay, I see that.
So if you make it not probable that such a thing exists to be used, then no one, in a sense, will come in to play that game because that's not the game you're playing. They will incarnate somewhere where someone's playing that game. But if you make it so that you have learned from that game that you don't prefer to play that game anymore, then no one else will be able to come in and play that game because you're not playing with the same pieces anymore.
I understand that. I'm actually not worried so much about for myself. I just don't like that whole thing occurring. And I know that there are parts of the world, and I'm sure parts of other worlds, that have such games going on.
Oh, yes. But this is why it is helpful, shall we say, to share the idea with everyone that you are self-empowered. You can play that game if it serves you, but you don't have to play that game.
Right. I'm looking at my connection with other people.
Yes.
And
Which is still a reflection of your connection to yourself, too.
yes, but I'm looking at other people who are going through situations of that sort.
Yes. And what can you do to help?
What can I do to help? And
I just told you.
well, okay, but I
Yes.
feel somewhat of a connection.
Yes.
For me to look at that going on, to know
Yes.
what's going on, to focus on it,
Yes.
is it brings my frequency down, shall we say?
Why?
Because
Why
it's-
do you choose?
Oh, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Well, yes,
Again,
that's true.
yes.
Okay.
Listen to the words. This is what we talked about before.
Yes.
Listen to the way the belief guides you to a specific conclusion you don't prefer. It brings my frequency down.
Yes, that's true.
I choose to match that frequency is the correct response for a preferential point of view.
Okay, well, I actually don't prefer to have my attention on such things.
You can have attention and awareness on such things without choosing to let your frequency lower.
Well, I've actually done that as well.
All right,
But
then why not do that all the time?
I can do that all the time. I think I just kind of needed permission.
Then
to
give
do
yourself
that.
permission.
I have permission.
Then you can observe and help anyone in any situation because you also know they are you.
Yes.
And thus then, you can reflect to them, this is how, you can reflect to them your knowledge that the state you prefer to be in is the state that will actually help them the most, whether they choose to match your frequency or not.
Yes, I
But
agree.
you don't need to match their frequency. And in fact, if you do, you're actually not helping them do anything but perpetuate the frequency they're on.
I agree. I think it was just my upbringing to make me feel
I
empathetic
understand.
and maybe sympathetic, but mostly empathetic.
Yes, empathy is really what you prefer.
Yes.
Sympathy reinforces the negative side.
Absolutely.
So, now that you know your energy does not have to go down, are you open to being of assistance when and where synchronicity brings it to you? And know that all you need to do is stay in the state of your preference, and by doing so, whether the other person gets it or not, you'll be giving them a reflection of what's possible for them too.
Absolutely.
And that's the way you help.
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Or I'll say, let us resume the class. All right, now, you all have nice lunch break? Yes. Are you all feeling fueled up? Yes. All right. I'm going to take a gamble. Jill? Would you go up to the board and remove number 6? Read it out loud. Lottery. Who wants to win the lottery? We'll see how many are telling the truth. Here's the simple point we are making with this idea. Thank you very much for your assistance. Many individuals on your planet, when they play such games as the lottery, in their mindset, more often than not, the majority of them will be thinking, I hope I pick the winning numbers. I hope I pick the winning numbers. I hope I pick the winning numbers. Here's the key. Remember that when you choose your numbers, whether by your own hand or you allow the machine to randomly choose for you, you are still choosing. But the key is not that you will pick the winning numbers. The key is you will pick numbers. You will shift to a reality where those are the winning numbers. You will bend the reality to your numbers, not the other way around. The difference in the mindset is profound, because when you go in saying, I want to pick the winning numbers, I hope I pick the winning numbers, I wish to pick the winning numbers, you're talking about the winning numbers as if it's already decided what they will be. But it's not. Nothing has been drawn. So when you choose numbers from your passion to play this game, the idea is to allow yourself to know that you can allow the reality to match your numbers, not your numbers to match the reality. The idea here also is to understand that when doing this, even though we understand on a physical level, in a physical mind level, many of you say you would like to win the lottery, many of you are really not as excited about it as you think. The idea is that that kind of game brings up within many of you many doubts, many beliefs, many definitions that allow you to process your relationship to the concept of wealth, your relationship to the concept of abundance. And that's how many of you use that opportunity. In that sense, anytime you play, as long as you allow yourself to use the outcome, whatever it is, to explore more thoroughly your relationship to the concept of wealth and abundance, then in that context, you have won. Because that's what most of you use that game for. I am not saying you cannot win, but remember, it's like anything else. If you're truly passionate about something, you bring it into manifestation. Most of you, contrary to what you may think, are actually not that passionate about the lottery as you are about doing the thing itself that you are passionate about. A lottery can be one way in which your reality may afford you the opportunity to do that thing, but it isn't always necessarily the easiest, quickest, and most enjoyable way. So, anytime you play, do so with the understanding that it is for the purpose of opening up for you an opportunity to get in touch with your relationship with abundance, your relationship with wealth. And if you use it that way, you will allow yourself to go into that game in the neutral state of being that represents your highest self, that would actually, so to speak, allow you the greatest probability of actually winning. Your relationship to the concept of wealth. We have begun to discuss this recently in the understanding that many of you also still are harboring the concepts that as you explore spirituality, that there is somehow a contradiction to the concept of physical wealth in having a spiritual life. Of course, there is no such thing. It is all wealth. Spiritual wealth, physical wealth, it is all the same wealth expressed in different ways. And as you expand spiritually, there is absolutely no reason but the reasons you create for why physical abundance and physical wealth, those expressions cannot accompany the growth of your own spiritual wealth as well. If you find that you have a relationship with wealth that is conflicting or contradictory, or beliefs or definitions that do not allow you a clear understanding that these are one and the same things, and that one does not have to occur at the expense of another, then you will allow yourself to let all kinds of wealth and all kinds of abundance manifest themselves in perfect timing whenever, wherever, and however it is required to reflect the unfolding of your life, the growth of yourself in a natural way. You all follow along with this? So when you play the lottery, play it to allow yourself to get in touch with your relationship with wealth and be in the state that you prefer to be, and you will win every time in some way. When winning in any way becomes equal to winning in any other way, you actually afford yourself the greatest probability of allowing abundance to come to you in that way as well as other ways. 7 for Kevin. Dimensions. You may also remove A and B in the same number. Yes? What do you see there? Several dots. Yes. And what do you imagine that means? Oh, all right, if you wish. All right, thank you. Very, very good. The single dot converts into multiple dots over time. You may sit, thank you for your help. What does this tell us? What this tells us is this. Dimensions go from one to another through the mechanism of time. Time is the dimensionalizer. Time takes the concept of a static idea, a static reality, and turns it, expands it into the next dimension. So imagine, as you see, that you have a dot, a point, a single space in that sense. Then, by adding the concept of that dot in time, as you understand the illusion, then you create a series of dots that represent the concept of the dot from one moment to the next. As you create the illusion of the same dot from one moment to the next, it creates a line, which is the next dimensional expression. When you take a line over time, the line in the next moment, and in the next, and in the next, and the next, and the next, you create a series of lines which create a plane, the next dimension. When you take a plane in the next moment, the next moment, the next moment, the next moment, you create a volume, the third dimension, as you understand it. When you take the third dimension, the volume, and do it again and again and again and again and again. In the concept of moment-to-moment time, you create the meta-volume, or the concept of parallel simultaneous realities, and so on, and so on, and so on. So the idea of dimensionality, and the reason it is the concept of space-time, is that space provides the initial seed for the dimension, but time is the water that allows it to grow. Time is what stretches the concept into your idea of dimensionality so that it can be experienced in the physical way, in a physical concept, as a process. Time, then, is what allows dimensionality to occur. So when you are thus then exploring the concept of expanding your dimensionality, all you really need to do is get into a state where you understand that time plays a part, and that as you allow it to convert into that mechanism, it will translate not so much as the experience of time, but will translate as the experience of timing. It will be intricately and intimately interwoven into the expansion of the dimension in such a way that timing incidents will occur in your life, and this is what's called synchronicity. So synchronicity is the physical reality experience of the time factor expanding your dimensionality. I'll say it again. Synchronicity is physical reality's way of showing you that everything exists all at once, but the experience of synchronicity in your lives, in physical reality, is your way of understanding that you are now connected very consciously to the dimension of time, the aspect of time that unfolds and expands you dimensionally and raises your frequency, raises your vibration, and lets you know consciously that you are connected to more than you were previously aware of. This is how all of that works together.